Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. We here at FD have a reputation as stat worshippers, analysts who put stats before everything. And today we are giving you a top 10 of players who don't have good statistics, either fairly or unfairly. Let's get into it. 10. Daniel James. No one would have expected Daniel James to have played 37 games for Man United at the time of writing. Signed from Swansea for £15 million after just 39 professional appearances, the Red Devils' decision not to replace Sanchez and Lukaku and an injury to Rashford has meant James has been irregular. His baseline numbers of 3 goals and 6 assists in 27 Premier League games looks impressive, but his 3 goals came in his first 4 appearances in the competition, and he has only 1 goal contribution this calendar year in 13 attempts. For a 22-year-old playing his first year of top division football, not to mention dealing with the loss of his father last summer, there was always going to be ups and downs. But whilst he has shown glimpses of how deadly he can be in a counter-attacking system, not least in their 2-1 victory at the Etihad, he doesn't seem to have the tools to break down a sitting defence. His 1.6 shots per 90 is the same as Scott McTominay, while his 1 key pass per 90 is half the output Ryan Fraser is managing at Bournemouth in a miserable campaign for the Scotsman. Currently completing just 1.1 dribbles per 90 at a 44% completion rate, and with a measly 0.31 expected goals and assists per 90, less than John Lundstrom, James has shown he still has a lot to learn. 9. Roberto Gagliardi. Signed from Atalanta after just 16 appearances for the club for £18.5 million, Inter Milan's Roberto Gagliardi has struggled to impose himself at the San Siro. After 19 appearances in his first campaign, he looked to have established himself under Spalletti in 17-18, making 30 league appearances. But the Inter hierarchy clearly don't have much faith in him, with Nainggolan, Barella, Sensi and Eriksson arriving since. Even with the aforementioned Sensi and Barella missing large parts of the season, Gagliardi has only played 800 league minutes, 13th in the Nerazzurri squad, and his numbers don't suggest that will change soon. He ranks 5th in the squad for tackles and interceptions, but he lacks passing range or athletic ability to either pick out a killer pass or beat the press, with just 1 key pass and 0.3 dribbles per 90. This could be excused if he was an excellent distributor from deep, but he completes just 34 passes per game, which ranks 13th, and he has an 82% pass accuracy, fewer than Handanovic. If Conte wants to take Inter back to the top of Italian and European football, he should think about moving on players like Gagliardi. 8. Wilfried Zaha. Clearly a very talented player, Wilf Zaha is now unlikely to ever play in the Champions League. After signing a 5-year deal worth £130,000 per week in August 2018, the Eagles refused to sell him for anything less than 70 mil the following summer, amidst interest from Arsenal and Everton. Having contributed at least 12 Premier League goals for the last 3 seasons, and 42 in total, 15 more than the next best, Benteke and Milivojevic, Zaha has struggled this term. With 9 games still to play, the Ivorian has just 3 goals and 3 assists to his name. His shots per 90 have almost halved from 2017-18 to 1.6, the same as Brighton's Bissouma, whilst his key passes have fallen to 1 per 90, a figure topped by 122 players in the division. Still a superb dribbler, currently completing 4.8 per 90, the 5th best record in Europe's top 5 leagues, he now has a startling lack of end product, with just 0.25 expected goals and assists per 90. That ranks 5th in a Palace squad that have the 18th best attack in the division. Now 27, Zaha might have to accept that his best shot at superstardom remains that ill-fated 2-year spell at Old Trafford. 7. Cristian Tello. The way that Barcelona academy graduate Cristian Tello burst onto the scene, scoring 20 goals in 86 appearances, including 4 in the Champions League, between 2011-12 and 13-14, suggested he had a big future in the game. But after playing for Spain and representing his country at the Olympics, Tello struggled to kick on, eventually being loaned to Porto and Fiorentina. His average of 0.2 goals per game across those 4 years failed to convince either side to sign him permanently. But after Real Betis came calling in June 2017, 17 goal contributions and 61 league games across his first 2 campaigns suggested that Tello might have finally found his home. But the arrival of Ruby this summer, followed by Fekir, coupled with 2 small injuries, have seen Tello's minutes collapse, with just 3 league starts to his name. Even with 15 appearances off the bench against tired defences, Tello has only scored once. For an established winger to be operating at just 0.03 expected goals per 90, less than Burnley's Ben Mee, in close to 500 league minutes, is pretty concerning. Now 28, the former La Liga and Copa del Rey champion needs to find his best form again soon, or risk being known as just another failed wonderkid. 6. Connor Cody. After just 2 appearances for the Reds, academy graduate Cody was sent on loan to then League One side Sheffield United, before being sold to Huddersfield and then just a year later Wolves for £2 million. Across his 5-year spell in the Midlands, he helped turn them from a mid-table championship side to one on the verge of a Europa League quarter-final, with an outside chance of Champions League qualification. In the absence of the injured Willy Bolly, 27-year-old Cody has been a permanent fixture at the centre of defence, being one of 6 outfield players to play every Premier League minute. But whilst Wolves' defensive stats are impressive, 34 goals conceded in 29 games, 5 fewer than Chelsea, and 17.9 tackles per game, 6th in the division, Cody's are unremarkable. Just 1.9 tackles and interceptions per 90 with a 63% tackle success rate, 12% less than Mustafi. Cody looks at first glance a below par defender, but scratch below the surface and he looks like the real deal, with 7 completed long balls per 90, topped by just 2 outfield players in Europe's top 5 leagues. There are no stats for leadership, anticipation or match intelligence, but if there were, we bet Cody would be elite in all. 5. Arthur. Already capped 20 times by Brazil, representing one of the biggest clubs in the world, with a Copa Libertadores and La Liga in his cabinet, 23-year-old Arthur's career has got off to a flyer. But after making 44 appearances last season, the Blaugrana faithful were expecting their young star to kick on in 2019-20, but so far it hasn't really materialised. In and out of the side due to injury or loss of form, Arthur has played just 43% of available minutes in the league and Champions League. At the moment, he looks like a very tidy passer, completing over 91% of his efforts in the Spanish top tier. But too many of them are safe, with just 1 key pass per 90, with 19 Barcelona players creating more. At the moment, he looks like an excellent press breaker, with 2.6 dribbles per 90, 9th for central midfielders in Europe, but these rarely lead to a shot, with just 0.7 per 90. This would all be fine if the Brazilian was putting a defensive shift in, but as it stands, he completes just 1.1 tackles and interceptions per 90, 16th in the Barcelona squad. Still finding his feet in a new country in a transitional season, Arthur has the potential to be elite, but he certainly isn't there yet. 4. Todd Cantwell. By anyone's standards, Todd Cantwell has had a very solid debut Premier League campaign. The England under-21 international has appeared in every one of Norwich's 29 Premier League games to date, with only 10 under-23 Premier League players playing more than his 2,082 minutes. His impact has been superb. 6 goals and 2 assists, nearly 3 times his impact in 2018-19, only Pukki with 14 has more goal contributions for the low-scoring Canaries, with no one netting less than their 25 league goals. But his stats are pretty unremarkable. Just 1.6 shots per 90, the same as Fred, and 1.9 dribbles, 43% of Buendia's total, so his numbers really don't stand out. Factor in just 1.3 key passes per 90, comparable to 1/4, and Cantwell would appear to be a work in progress. But that is where stats fail. They can't measure his close control, off-the-ball running, and the amount of space he creates for teammates, all traits that have reportedly interested Jurgen Klopp. Living proof that stats aren't everything, Cantwell is doing just fine. 3. Zinedine Zidane. Ask any footballer approaching his 30th birthday who their favourite player growing up was, and invariably in their top 3 will be Zinedine Zidane. A Ballon d'Or, Euros and World Cup winner, the Frenchman defined the decade between 1995 and 2005. Incredibly athletic, a scorer of great and important goals, and with the most exquisite touch, watching the 3-time FIFA World Player of the Year was joy personified. But at club level there is an argument that Zidane did underachieve. Just 3 league titles and 1 Champions League, despite spending 10 years with Juventus and Real Madrid, is barely the stuff of legend. Instantly you could argue that Zidane couldn't make up for the deficiencies of his side alone, but his underlying numbers aren't incredible either. Just 61 league goals and 64 assists in 304 La Liga and Serie A games, or 0.4 goal contributions per game is great, but not exceptional, with Dele Alli contributing 0.5 goals per league game across the last 5 campaigns. But how can you measure big goals at big moments, like the 5 he scored in 11 games at the 1998 and 2006 World Cups, or that goal at Hampton? For someone like Zidane, stats are irrelevant. 2. Gini Wijnaldum. Eyebrows were raised when Jurgen Klopp decided to bring in Gini Wijnaldum for £25 million in July 2016. His 16 goal contributions the previous season at Newcastle had been powerless to prevent the Magpies' relegation, but the 29-year-old instantly looked at home, playing at least 33 Premier League games and 42 matches in total in each of his 3 campaigns at Anfield. And make no mistake, Wijnaldum has been crucial to their success. Despite ignorant pundits arguing he is replaceable, Klopp clearly doesn't think so. With no midfielder playing more than his 2,332 Premier League minutes this term, or his 2,373 Champions League minutes over the last 3 campaigns. But with just 1.6 tackles and interceptions per 90, 15th in the Liverpool squad, 0.4 key passes and just 1.3 dribbles, topped by 98 Premier League players, Wijnaldum's numbers are actually pretty poor. But similar to Cantwell, his work rate is second to none, and with no one topping his 91% pass accuracy. Wijnaldum is the non-stop metronome of this great Liverpool side. 1. Andres Iniesta. Andres Iniesta is quite simply an absolute legend of the game, and key member of one of the greatest sides in football history, Barcelona 2009-11. If Messi was the cutting edge and Xavi the orchestrator, Iniesta with his exquisite timing, game understanding and technique was its tempo setter. The Blaugrana with those three in tandem, not to mention Piqué, Puyol and Busquets, swept all before them, winning 5 league titles in 7 years between 2009 and 2016, not to mention 3 Copa del Reys and 3 Champions Leagues. But the 131 capped midfielder, who ranks 4th on Spain's all-time appearance list, still has his detractors. They will argue that he never once topped 8 league goals and failed to hit more than 3 in 13 of his 16 years at the Nou Camp. And for such a magnificent creator, 0.2 assists per league game and a best of 2.1 key passes per 90 is barely worthy of international acclaim. But that is absolutely ridiculous. He may not have played the final pass, but is it any wonder that Barcelona scored an average of 106 league goals per season between 2008-09 and 15-16 with Iniesta running the show? Stats aren't everything, as the little magician perfectly encapsulates. And that's all we have time for today, but let us know your own suggestions and thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. And finally, in these difficult times, please do remain indoors and stay safe. Bye for now.